Hey guys, this is Beyond Waking Realm. I'm here to talk about Kainé, rage, identity, and the cost of being seen. Kainé is not loud because she wants attention. She is loud because silence never protected her. In NieR Replicant, Kainé is framed as abrasive, vulgar, aggressive, someone who lashes out before the world can strike first. But that surface level red misses the truth. Kainé is not defined by rage, she is defined by survival. Her story is not about being broken, it's about what happens when someone is punished simply for existing and still chooses to fight for others anyway. This is the story of Kainé and why she may be the most honest character in NieR Replicant. A body the world rejected. Kainé was born intersex, Aphrodite, in a world that does not allow ambiguity. That alone sealed her fate. Before the shades, before the possession, before the sword, and the curses. And of course, she learned all of her vulgarity and curses from her grandma anyway. At a young age at that. The village rejected her at birth. She wasn't shunned for her actions. She wasn't feared for power. She was hated for what she was. Children mocked her. Adults whispered. Authority figures looked the other way. And when people grow up learning that their body itself is considered wrong, the damage doesn't heal. It hardens. Kainé learned early that vulnerability was a liability, that softness invited cruelty, that existing quietly only made her an easier target. So she did what many trauma survivors do. She built armor, and that armor took the shape of rage. Language as a shield. Kainé's foul mouth isn't juvenile shock value, it's defensive language. Swearing, insults, aggression, these are tools they establish distance. They warn others not to get close, because closeness for Kainé has always been dangerous. Her words say, "Don't touch me, don't judge me, don't make me small again." People often mistake her language as immaturity, but in truth, it's control. If she attacks first, she doesn't have to wait for rejection. If she defines herself as crude, no one else can weaponize it. Her voice is sharp because the world taught her that softness gets you hurt. Possession and parallels. Then comes Tyrann, a shade forced into her body. On the surface is possession, but thematically, it's devastatingly familiar. Kainé has always lived in a body others claimed did not belong to her. Now that violation becomes literal, Tyrann represents loss of autonomy, internalized hatred, the voice that tells you that you're wrong for existing. And yet, here's the key. Kainé does not submit. She fights back. Even when her body isn't fully hers, her will remains intact. This is critical to understanding her strength. Kainé is not powerful because she's angry. She's powerful because she refuses erasure. And due to that, her and Tyrann work in a symbiotic relationship. in essence that as time has gone by, her and her relationship with Tyrann becomes whole. Tyrann in some way helps her in the latter portions of her life to be somewhat accepted in her own body, in her own mind. And in the moments where she was in the moments and brink of death, Tyrann offered and asked for help from our main character. In this case, most of us call him NieR, to save her, and he was willing to give up his existence in her body in full reins to Kainé. The clothing misunderstood. Kainé's outfit is often misunderstood. Some see it as fan service. Others see it as impractical, but narratively, it's reclamation. When the world tries to shame her body, or in this case your body, one response is to hide. And Kainé, in this story, in this case, chooses the opposite. Her clothing is not about seduction. It's about ownership. This is my body. You don't get to decide how I exist in it. It's defiance, not display. And that distinction matters. Grandma, the only safe place. Kainé's grandma is the emotional center of her life. Not because she was perfect, but because she tried. She protected Kainé when no one else would. She loved her without conditions. She saw her as human, not a problem to be solved. And when her grandmother is murdered, Kainé doesn't just lose family. She loses the only proof she had that kindness was possible. And this is where her rage fully crystallizes. Not blind fury, but grief sharpened into purpose. Meeting NieR, connection without conditions. When Kainé meets NieR, something unexpected happens. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't interrogate her identity. He doesn't attempt to fix her. He doesn't fear her aggression. He accepts her presence. And that acceptance is radical. NieR doesn't save Kainé by force. He saves her by standing beside her. For someone like Kainé, that's more terrifying than rejection, because it means risking trust. And slowly, she does. Softness in secret. Kainé's tenderness is quiet. She doesn't announce it. She doesn't perform it. But you see it in the way she watches NieR. The moments she speaks less, not more. The rare times her voice softens instead of hardens. Kainé cares deeply. She just doesn't advertise it, because caring openly once cost her everything. In the early beginnings of NieR Replicant to the middle half, for the longest you don't see her softness, but it slowly creeps in. In the moments you do, you hear it from Emil, because Emil blatantly opens his mouth and shares that the campfire stories and him being with her. But as the middle half of NieR Replicant on to the end, you really do see her soften up and being vulnerable and open about it to everyone, and especially to NieR. A character who knows the truth. Kainé understands something most characters don't. The world does not reward goodness consistently. It does not protect the innocent. And survival often requires becoming something ugly. She doesn't romanticize suffering, she endures it. And still, she chooses to fight for others, not because she believes the world is fair, but because someone has to stand against cruelty. Why Kainé matters? Kainé resonates because she represents people who were othered before they had language for it. Learned aggression as a survival skill, were punished for existing honestly, were never given the luxury of being soft first. She is not a role model. She is something better. She is recognition. The cost of being seen. Kainé doesn't ask to be understood. She asks to be left alone. And yet, paradoxically, her story demands to be seen. Because Kainé shows us that rage is often grief unprotected, that profanity can mask pain, that strength is not the absence of vulnerability, but the refusal to disappear. Kainé survives not because the world changes, but because she refuses to stop existing inside it. And sometimes that's the bravest act of all. If this resonated with you, whether through Kainé's rage, her pain, or her resilience, I'd love to hear your thoughts. We're all navigating our own version of the hunt, and your perspective matters.